I'm Kira Morgan. Thanks for joining me today on Coffee with Kira, sponsored by The Human Being in Newport and Lincoln City. And today I am joined by Dr. Karen Gray, Lincoln County School District Superintendent. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Kira. How are you?
Good. Been really busy. As spring and summer hits, it seems like things pick up and the train just starts rolling even faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Karen, tell us a little bit about how things are going with Lincoln County schools.
So thank you, first of all, so much for having me on the show. And so right now we are K-8 hybrid, and kids that are at the high school are doing limited in-person instruction. And the kids are going to school, and what we hear from teachers and from students and from parents is that for the most part, the kids are absolutely delighted to be in school. It really encourages everybody when we see people in person and we're teaching in person, because that's what really makes us happy. We still offer the comprehensive distance learning package, and we still have our fully online program, Edmentum. Currently, we have about 600 kids district-wide in the fully online Edmentum program, and we're offering that till the end of the year. And then we have about 120 to 140 K-12 kids that are still on CDL at home. And so we're very excited because we've been having season 3 sports, which has been great. You can see us in the News Time newspaper and in the Guard. You can see the kids that are on campus and playing carefully with protocols and masks on and all of the safety protocols and the many safety protocols that are required. We don't have very many spectators, but when we do, they're definitely following our instructions, which has just been great. The kids have been having a ball.
Now there's a way for folks to be able, you're doing some streaming of some of the sports so that folks can not only listen but watch, is that right?
That is correct. As often as possible, we are streaming our sport contests so that, we're only allowing 2 spectators per child at a home game. There's not very many spectators, and they all have to sit a certain way. But we are streaming so that people are still able to see their friends and family play sports.
That's wonderful. So what have you noticed as kids started coming back to the schools?
Yeah, one thing I definitely noticed, and I saw this firsthand, was the amazing way our kids came back to school. They followed all the rules around keeping your mask on, having it down only when eating. At this point, we're still at the 6 feet apart, 35 square foot distance around each person. Just their willingness to absolutely fall into the pattern of following the protocols in our blueprint and in our safety protocols, I was amazed. And that has really been kind of the central theme, is the kids want to be back so badly, and the teachers want to be back so badly that they don't want to blow it. And, we have had random and few cases of positivity in our schools. You've seen the numbers in the county have gone up, and we swoop in with our protocols and boom. Those that need to be quarantined, we know who they are. And the public health department has just been our champion and really communicating. It's kind of rocky when this began. It's not like that at all now. And we have these networks of communication. So we're alerted immediately, even when it isn't a positive case, like somebody's been exposed. Teachers that are double vaccinated do not have to quarantine. And probably 70 to 80% of our district has been vaccinated.
That's great.
I know, yeah, would like to talk about vaccinations more later.
Yes, well, that's what I was going to say is one of the things that, of course, has presented a challenge for you and other districts throughout the state is the ever-changing wave of rules. So now there's reports out that schools in some instances can be 3 feet apart. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's actually all schools except for schools that are in the extreme level, which is way higher than we are. So this is a great question, Kira. I would love to stay here for just a minute because I think that people generally get very confused between what the Oregon Department of Ed and Oregon Health Authority rules for schools are, because that's under whose jurisdiction I work, versus the county. So the county rules, if you're over 100 cases per 2 weeks, if you're over 100, you go into this high range, which I guess is where we're headed. We're currently in moderate. We were even in low. But for the State Department with Education and the Oregon Health Authority, it's over 200. So it's not 100, it's 200. So we're at about 107 or 109 per 2 weeks per 100,000. And so our numbers are well within the green zone for schools. And that's why the county can be increasing and the school district opening to 4 days a week, 3 feet apart, full-time school for kids. We're not under the county jurisdiction for that. And that's the big
That's good. Thank you for that explanation because it does get confusing. There's so much information coming from so many different sources and it's not all the same. And so it does
so true.
It gets very confusing. Let's talk a little bit about graduation, Karen. How does that look this year?
Oh boy, you know, Kira, for that one, I've got to get my my crystal ball out of mothballs. To be honest, we did get guidance as a state on March 19th about 2 things: the pathways for graduation and the ceremonies. The pathways are the classes you have to take and the tests you have to take and the work samples and what we call essential skills. Most of that has gone away for this year, but you still have to have your credits. So that hasn't changed. So that's the pathways. But for the ceremonies, they absolutely have to follow the county metrics. So the actual ceremonies follow the county metrics. And so it's inside, outside, how many people, and we're still 8 weeks outside of graduation. So even if we go to high, 2 weeks later, we could be back down to moderate. And so they're going to have a plan A, which is very restrictive, and a plan B, which is less restrictive, and do as much as they can outside because the numbers you can have are bigger outside. And so I don't want it to look like last year, even though last year was super duper well done. And I managed to go to 2 of those. But I would really like it to be more in person. So there'll be more on that in our next discussion.
That sounds good.
Yep.
And let's talk a little bit about how the students are doing as far as, you know, some kids have been online. We had not only the COVID pandemic, but we had the wildfires, which threw another wrench in the works. So some kids have been able to be at some of the schools doing work, again, on the computers and online. Are you able to track the students and how well they're doing? Whether some kids are just, I've heard reports of some kids that are just typing in, you know, hi, I'm here, and then boom,
Yeah.
off. How do we know how these students have done this year?
Yeah, it's all over the board. We have done, I don't really have a word for it. I guess I would say like yeoman's work of trying to get internet access and bandwidth to all of our kids. And we're a rural community. to the greatest extent of any district I've ever heard of, we have tried to get internet into the hands of every single household, which of course inherently is not our job, but that's what we've done anyway. And we've worked with AT&T, T-Mobile, Spectrum. There's a bunch of other ones. One with a P name. I'm not going to remember it right now, but anyway, that's down in Walport. And so
Oh, Pioneer.
Pioneer, that's the one. Thank you. And we've worked on that. Computers for every kid. There isn't any doubt we've been able to produce Chromebooks, multiple Chromebooks, in fact, per household. And we still have kids that fell through the cracks. We had kids, exactly as you said, would log on for a moment, consider that was that. And that has not been where the teachers have left it. They've called them, they've worked with them, they've worked with parents, they've worked with kids in multiple languages. Kids need to go to school. I'm sorry, but they do. There are online computerized programs for that many kids, and that's who it works for. And if you look at their assessment results, they're pretty terrible. So yes, we're also missing 400 to 500 kids. We don't know where they are. We've followed up with every single name, every single phone number, every single address. We're actually thinking about hiring somebody to come in and find every single one of those kids, just even to know where they went. And mostly at the kindergarten grade level, because you're not required to go to school at kindergarten. And so that's the biggest grade level. And we are missing a lot of kids. So we have a campaign. You're going to be seeing it on the billboards, seeing it on buses, on banners. Registration is August 9th. Come back to school. Don't forget, come back to school. And I believe that we will be full-time 4.5 days a week in the fall.
That will be
Yep.
will be such a relief.
Yes.
That can happen. Of course, with the vaccines, it seems like more and more are rolling out, and hopefully by June, July, things will be looking much better. We're going to keep a positive positive outlook on things.
I agree.
Karen, is there anything else that you want to talk about or that you want to add?
I think just a couple of things, if you don't mind, I wrote down as we were preparing for this interview. April 12th, which is Monday, 9 through 12, will still come back hybrid just for that week. And some schools are doing Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday with Wednesday off. And some are doing 12th graders, 11th graders, 10th graders, 9th graders, all on a different day. These kids haven't been in school for a year. So actually a year and a month. And so we want to make sure they know what the safety protocols are. It's still 6 feet apart when you eat. It's still 6 feet apart for staff. It's still 6 feet apart when you play a musical instrument. So we need to be very clear with our students what the protocols are for safety. Now, a week after that, April 19th, we go K-12, all 4 days a week full time, still offering Edmentum Online and CDL. So I just want parents to understand, at one point, we had taken CDL off the table, and that really angered a lot of people. And it was too hard for me to think about the teachers teaching in 2 models at the same time. But what we actually ended up doing was hiring different people to do the CDL so that teachers weren't doing this kind of bifurcated teaching.
That was an excellent choice there, because like you said, there's kids that are really needing to be in school in order to succeed, but there are also kids who seem to be doing well online and whose parents were nervous about sending them back, understandably, because of the household dynamics that the kids live in. So that was a good choice.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. That is exactly why a lot of people, well, not a lot now, it's quite a little, just over 100, but they do have different dynamics. My worry was, as I stated, but you're so right. You're just trying so hard to make this work for as many people as possible. In the fall, there won't be a CDL option, but there will be a K-12 online option. So we're keeping that. And so parents that want to keep their kids online because that's working for them, we will have a bona fide option for them. And we'll
Right.
do more advertising about that later on. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was vaccinations. We are probably going to be offering vaccinations for kids 16, 17, and 18 on our own campuses.
Oh,
That's going to be available in the next week or so, much faster than we thought. We know that there is a vaccine that also is good all the way down to age 10. And so we haven't heard enough about that yet. But I believe that was Pfizer, but I could have that wrong. It might be AstraZeneca. But anyway, for the 16, 17, and 18-year-olds, we are planning to, haven't done it yet, have those kids get vaccinated right here on our campus with our nurses. And
now,
be
do you know if that's a single dose or?
It's a double. It's a double because it's Pfizer.
Okay,
Pfizer is the only one that we'll have access to, but we'll have it all recorded. We'll know exactly who got it. Parent permission, of course, never give it without it. And then I feel like by the time the summer comes, we're actually, like you stated, going to be in a much better thing. The one thing I would tell any of your listeners is I am begging you, literally begging you to follow the safety protocols, to wear your mask appropriately over your nose and under your chin, to wash your hands. If you're sick, stay home. To get your vaccination if you can, do the right thing so that this county can go back into moderate and back into low. And really, if people are visiting, I just pray that they will follow the rules, because we've worked our tails off the last year to try to do the right thing in the school district. And you're only hurting kids when you do that, when you don't follow the rules. You're hurting kids. And I just don't want that to happen.
yeah, no one wants that. So Karen, thank you so much for joining me today and
My
for
pleasure.
updates on the schools as we continue to move forward through this very difficult time for everyone. But we hope that by next year, wipe the slate clean, start fresh, and get things back to going again with our fingers crossed on that one. And of course, you could continue to have updates on the school district's website for parents.
That's right. That's right. And we also have 4 public forums coming up. The first one tonight in the Taft area, online, all via Zoom, nothing in person yet. Staff 1 hour from 4 to 5, parents 1 hour from 5 to 6. And on May 20th for all Hispanic families in Spanish and Mom. And so we're trying to collect information, what worked.
Mhm.
Want to learn our lessons. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want to know what worked and we want to keep what worked. So you're going to have more information coming from the district.
Fantastic. Well, Karen, thank you so much for joining me for Pacific Northwest News and Entertainment and Coffee with Kira, sponsored by The Human Bean in Newport on 6th Street and Highway 101, and in Lincoln City at the north end of town on the west side of the highway next to TLC Credit Union. For Pacific Northwest News and Entertainment, I'm Kira Morgan.